Hi, this is Florence, and before we actually start getting into it and actually making the crepes, I wanted to tell you a little bit more about what you're about to make. So crepes are very old things in France. I'm from France. I grew up eating crepe at least once a year. Usually in the evening we did it was like a little special thing. So there are different types of crepe. For those of you who have been to France, maybe you have tried to go in a crêperie. You'll see that they serve some savory crepes, and those are made with different type of flour, which is called, in French it's actually called the sarrasin flour, which here is buckwheat. But the crepe that you're going to learn to make today are actual sweet crepes, so they're not made with the buckwheat flour, they're just made with normal flour, and they are really designed to eat with sweet stuff. So they're really your Nutella and cream crepe, or your berry, or your marmalade, jam, whatever you like. But it's really, you can put savory things in them, but it's really not probably the best mix for that. So that's the first thing. Also, what you need to know about crepes is that it's really, it's a very old thing. It's been made always, and in the older days there was no like fancy little machine that you plug in and with a little piece of wood to make the crepe. You don't need to buy one of those to make crepe. All you need really is a pan and a container for your mix and a ladle and a good stove. It's just as simple as that. So I put the recipe in the lesson, and I've also given you the dimension of the type of pan and ladle that I use. So obviously you're gonna need to see what pans you have, and if you're using a pan that's gonna be bigger, your crepes are going to be bigger, but you also need to make sure that the amount of mix that you use is actually also bigger. And if you have a smaller pan, obviously you're going to have to try to find a way to have a ladle or some kind of container to pour the mix that's going to be proportionally smaller as well, so that the crepe keep the thinness, which is really the key to make a real French crepe that's going to be really enjoyable and where you really enjoy what's in it. And really the crepe is just the wrap around it. It's supposed to just be there to kind of like have something around, but it really shouldn't overpower the actual experience of the crepe. So that's that. So now you can move on to the next lesson and make sure you have all the ingredients ready. I'll show you how to mix it. It's very simple. Get your blender ready and then we'll start. Hello, so this is Florence, and today I'm going to show you how to make real French crepes, and I'm going to start by making the mix that my grandmother taught me many years ago. So here what we need, we have 1.5 cups of flour. We have 3 eggs, we have 1 tablespoon of sugar, we have a little bit of vanilla extract, a little bit of rum. I like to put some rum or any kind of other liquor like Grand Marnier or something like that, but something to give it some taste. Remember that the alcohol will go when you cook it, so there's actually no alcohol, but a very good flavor. Here we have a mix of 1 cup of water and 1 cup of milk put together. And I will also add a little spoonful of oil in the mix, okay? So the easiest way to do this is to actually put it in the blender, because we want to have a mix that's very liquid. It's almost kind of like milk, just a little bit thicker than milk. So it's a very simple recipe. You just put it all in the blender. So there we go. We have a Vitamix, but any other blender works, and it works very well. There we go. A little bit of oil. There. Just a spoonful to kind of help it mix properly. There. A little bit of vanilla for the taste. There. And quite a bit of rum. I always like the flavor. There. Another thing that can be added is a little bit of orange zest or lemon zest. I prefer not to put it, but it's good. You know, some people like it, so feel free to add a little bit of that too. So then we're going to put it in the blender. There you go. I start at a slightly low speed to make sure everything gets mixed well. And then I increase the speed. There we go. this is your crepe mixed made. Now what's important is to put it in the refrigerator for about an hour minimum for it to rest so that it's ready to cook afterwards, and then I'll come back to show you how to cook it and to make a perfect thin crepe. Okay, so now the mix has been in the fridge now for about a couple of hours, so I just got it out. And we're going to start the crepe. So one of the very important things is that the pan has to be really, really hot, so I'm going to turn this on already. And then the second thing is that you need to oil the pan really well, because it's a very fast process. So I have a little bit of oil in a bowl here. I have a plate ready for afterwards, and a ladle, which has to be the right amount for the type of pan that you have, and you'll see that it's not actually that much. So to prepare my little thing for the oil, I just get some paper towel, fold it, I put it around a fork, like this, and then I get a little piece of string, which I'm going to tie around a few times, so that my little piece of paper towel is going to stay in place. So I'm going to start tying a little knot here, and then I'm going to go around. In the meantime, I can hear that the pan is warming up nicely. So I'm just going to do my little knot here. There you go. And then I'm going to go around and around and around. Grab my little piece of string on the other side and around. Right, and when I get about here, I just finish with another knot so that it doesn't move. There. It's kind of makeshift. I would not recommend to use a brush because usually the pan is very, very hot and there's a good chance that it's going to burn your brush, so I would avoid that. So I'm just going to put my little apron on because sometimes the oil splatters a little bit, so you never know. And so right now I'm just going to wait a few more seconds for the pan to be hot enough. Seems like it's getting there, so I'm going to stir the mix a little bit, not too much because now it's well settled. And I just leave it in the blender because it's easier. You can transfer it to a bowl if you prefer. And so I'm going to test if this is hot enough. It seems like it's getting there. I think it needs a little bit more. I'm going to start putting a little bit of oil in the pan, and you just basically smudge the bottom of the pan. If you see that you start getting little drops like that, you're close to the right temperature. And you can see there's a little bit of smoke coming up, so that's a good sign. That means I'm going to be able to start. So the way you make a crepe, as I said, the very important thing is that the real French crepes are very thin. So we need to make sure we don't put too much mix in the pan. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have this amount in the ladle, and I put it right in the middle, and I just turn the pan around, and I have a very, very thin crepe. Now each crepe is going to take about 30 seconds to do. I'm going to grab my spatula. There we go. I got a little wooden spatula to do this. So I just leave it here on the heat, and if you can see, it gets a little bit brown on the side. When it gets like that, you're getting close to being able to turn the crepe around, so it starts moving and it gets unstuck quite easily because there's enough oil. And then you can just go under, turn it around, and you have a beautiful crepe. Another maybe 10 seconds, and this is it. You've got your first crepe made, and you put it away on the plate. So while the pan is still hot, right away I'm going to grab my little smudging thing, and I'm going to add a little bit of oil just like before. And then I'm going to grab my ladle again, same amount, same way, right in the middle, and we turn to spread it really well. And again, we just leave it there for a few seconds, and when it gets brown on the side, I'll just grab it and turn it to cook on the other side. So as we go along, the pan is gonna get hotter. Right now I'm still on full. After this one, I'm probably gonna lower it to about 6 or 7 to make sure that the pan stays at a good temperature, but not too high, because then your crepe might get burnt a little bit, and you don't want that to happen. It doesn't taste as good. So here you go. So it's already getting a little bit browner here. So I'm going to lower the heat a little bit, and then it should be good until the end, just for the rest of this mix. And that's it. And you keep doing that up until you don't have any mix left. So now we're done. There's no more mix, and we have just about 15 crepes, and they're all nicely done, nicely cooked. And this is it. It was that simple.